computer. Okay. So, okay, I'm recording. All right, well, here's the deal. What I was going to do tonight was I was going to show you how to do this little animation. And I probably still am. But what I'll do is I'm going to start off by beginning the assignment again, because these things are little extra things that I did to kind of give you guys a look at some other possibilities that you can do with this sort of thing. Keep in mind that once you get familiar with creating this timeline GIF in here, there's tons of stuff you can do. So I just thought I'd do a few things. Let me show you what I did here, and I'll show you how I did this later tonight. See, it's very simple little animation. Okay? And then the other one I did that I'm going to show later here is this guy right here.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go over that. Cool. I'm going to go over these later on tonight, only because I need something to do. I have 2 nights, and I'll start off by showing you guys how to do the assignment again. All right. So I'm going to start off by going File, New. All right, and I'm going to go into, or yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm wrong. File Open, not File New. File Open. All right. File Open. Go to my desktop. I'm going to go to Image Editing. I'm going to go into Week 1, and I'm going to find my little video, which is right there. Now, keep in mind, like I told you, there are 4 videos in here. Video 1, 2, 3, and 4. Videos 2, 3, and 4 have only 1 dog in it. And, you know, the goal is to create a situation where one of the dogs seems to move and the other dog does not. So my feeling is that your best bet is to probably go with video number 1. But, you know, you can do video number 2, 3, or 4 if you want. Or if you want to use your own video, you can use your own video, but you do have to send it to me and show it to me first. And keep in mind, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make the majority of the image stationary, where 1 or 2 little elements move. Okay, that's the whole goal of this. So I'm going to go to video 1, open video 1, and hit open. And
that's the one I picked, actually.
What?
That's the one I picked, actually, and then I saved it to desktop, and I right-clicked on it, and I just put open with Photoshop.
Okay. Now, did your timeline come out looking something like this?
Looking exactly like that.
Okay. Now, here's the deal, and this is very important. So yours look like this?
Yes.
Okay, so then there's nothing wrong with your computer at this point. I think what happened, Lori, is that you just got yourself confused. All right? So let me explain this very carefully so that all of you understand this. If your computer comes out like this, what you got is you got the entire little video in your timeline. And this is what the video is going to do. It's just going to play the little dogs, and, you know, they're going to move around and la-di-da and all that, right?
Yeah, and these videos are crazy.
Right. All right, so here's the important thing. What you're going to do is you're going to isolate one of the dogs. I don't really care whether you isolate this guy over here. He's a very cute little dog. So is he. Or if you want, you can isolate this little dog right here. Now, the important thing for you to be aware of is that this video exists in 2 places, not just 1. Oh. It exists in the timeline, and it exists in the layers panel. Remember, we're in Adobe Photoshop.
Right.
Okay. So unlike Flash, there's no layers panel in Flash. Well, there is, but the layers panel is not primary to the program, whereas in Photoshop, it is.
It is.
Okay? So that's the most important thing, is to be aware that you have to deal with this and this. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So now what you want to do is you want to take this dog video, and You want to create a situation where one of the dogs doesn't move and one of the dogs do move. So the best way to do, there's a couple of ways that we actually can do this. Well, first of all, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing you want to do is you want to decide, because this is like, I don't know, what is it like?
It's quite long.
Yeah, it's very long. It goes for about, what, it looks like 43 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very long. You only want like 20 seconds, I think, of this. So here's what I do. I start off by, scrolling around in here and deciding what I want these dogs to do. And I go by, this is the dog that I'm going to animate right here.
Okay.
Was it Raven? Raven, were you the one that said you were having problems too?
Yes.
What was your problem?
It was like, I know you said it jumped, but it's like the part that I chose, you could tell like real bad that it jumped.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that. That's all I'm saying. You're going to have to deal with that because the video jumps. There's not much you can do. The only thing you can do is you can try to isolate the dog as close to the dog as possible and minimize the amount of jumping that goes on. If you were to go to mine, let me go file open. Give me a second here. And let me open my other one. Simnegre. I think that's it right here. Yeah, I think this, yeah, this is, no, isn't it? Well, yeah, I think so. Let me see. Yeah, you see my dog moving?
Yeah.
You see how he's not moving?
Right.
Okay, but if you really look carefully, can you see it still is jumping a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, but mine was worse.
Yeah, you know why it's worse? I'll tell you why. Let me show you why. What I did was I was very careful. Let me show you if I can. Let me show you this way. All right, hold on. All right, well, I can't show you because of the way this is. All right, what I did was I created this mask, and I tried very carefully to make that mask as close to that little dog as possible. The closer you make and I'll do this again. I'll do this again tonight so that you could see what's going on. The closer you can get your mask to being by this dog, the less of the background image is going to jump around. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to do this so that you can see, all right? But I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so back to this. So as I was saying, you have your video up in your timeline, and you have your video down in your or your video in your layers panel, and your video down in your timeline. I also want to point out that a folder is created that this video is in, and you see it right there. Can you see that little folder, that video folder? And it's called Video Group 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the thing that you have to be aware of. Okay, what I'm going to do, there's a couple of ways this can be done. I could save this image of this dog here. Or these dogs here. I could save this as a JPEG. And I could bring the JPEG in, and I could paint over the JPEG. Or I could duplicate the video and turn it into a frame, a single, or I should say what's the word that I use? I probably have it here. Hold on. Call it a still. See it? A still?
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's what I'm going to do. But before I do that, like I told you, I went in here and I kind of scrubbed around a little bit, and I tried to see where I wanted this dog to start off. And I think I like the dog right about here. Okay? So I want to start right about here. See what I'm saying? There's a little bit of video over here that I don't want to use. Do you guys understand this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over to the end of the video and watch what little mouse is doing. See what my little mouse is doing? See, it's changing. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Let's see. I lost your cursor. Sorry. Oh, there. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this over until I hit the timeline indicator. And now the video is starting at that point. You got it?
Okay, yeah.
So what I did was I trimmed off the very beginning of the video. Now, there's a reason I did it this way. I could have split it there, but if I split it there, then I'd have to delete the piece that I split, and that would be what is known as a destructive edit.
Edit. Okay.
Yeah, and this is a non-destructive edit, and then it's important that you understand the difference between a destructive edit and a non-destructive edit, because most everything that you do in Adobe Photoshop, you have the option of doing things destructively or non-destructively. The major difference between something that's destructive and non-destructive is something that's non-destructive you can undo. Something that's destructive you essentially can't undo. So,
Okay.
I mean, it is a very important consideration for you to know this. So anytime there's anything that is non-destructive, I want to make sure it's absolutely clear to you that that's probably your best option going into it, to do this non-destructively. Because, again, you're not going to do something that you can't undo or change. All right?
Yeah.
In the case of this little video, it's not such a worry. But, I mean, I either teach you right or I don't teach you at all. You know what I mean? That's the way it is, really. I can go in and I can not tell you about this stuff, and then am I really teaching you anything? No.
Right.
You know? Okay. Anyway, so what I want to do with this now is I want to figure out where I want this dog to stop moving. All right? So I'm just going to slowly scroll along here and look at that dog. And I'm going to watch that dog, and I'm going to see where I want it to go. Keep going, keep going. And I don't have to go too far because we only got to do like 20 frames. But, you know, I'm not going to get 20 frames. I'm probably going to get a little bit more out of it. So I think maybe I'll try to bring him back to where he's close to where he started, which would probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of here. Right about there. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, the same thing occurs over here. I can come over to the end of this thing and look at my little cursor. Do you see my cursor? So I can click on that, and I can drag all the way over until I hit the timeline indicator. So what I've done is I've essentially trimmed my little video. Now watch when I play the video what I get. And it's still quite long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
There you go. See, now actually that don't look too bad. It is a little bit long, guys. So let me just explain to you. I'm going to leave it this way. You don't really have to make yours so long. Yours can be a little bit shorter if you want. But I'm doing it this way because I like the motion of this. All right? So do you guys got any question about how I did this so far?
No, you just set the first little...
Yeah, you're going to use the timeline indicator.
Right.
And you're going to move the timeline indicator to find a position where you want your dog to be moving at the beginning of this. You're going to trim it to that point. And when you do that, the video will slide over to the beginning automatically. You don't even have to move it over. It'll automatically slide over. After you establish the front end, you're going to slowly scrub across until you reach the point where you want on the back end.
Okay.
And then you're going to use the timeline indicator again. Just slide the video over, and then you'll have your little clip.
Okay.
All right?
I do have one question.
Go right ahead. You can have as many questions as you want. We got 2 hours. Go ahead.
How can you tell how many minutes you have?
Well, it tells you right here that this, like here, see, this is at the beginning. So it's at 0, 0, 0. You see it right there?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if I scrub this over, it looks to me like this is, I don't know, what is it, 4 minutes? 4.24.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's 4 minutes and 24 seconds. I can't be right. Is that 4 minutes, would you say?
No, that can't be 4 minutes.
1, 2, 3,
But it's
4.
More than 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I would have thought I think these are tenths.
They've got to be tenths because...
Yeah, and then so that would mean 4 seconds. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems more like 4. It seems longer than 4 seconds, but that's what you got there. Those are your numbers at any rate.
Right.
Okay, does that help you at all?
Kind of.
Huh?
I said kind of.
All right. Well, at any rate, the bottom line is you can see your time. You can see your timeline indicator down there. There's your numbers. Right.
That's a good question. Now, when I played mine, it played sound.
It
was like, what in the world?
I don't know. I'm not getting any sound. There does seem to be an audio track here.
Yeah, and
Yeah, mine has sound too.
Does it? Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you have an audio track,
Mute it.
mute or unmute audio track.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you don't want to hear the audio, you can unmute it. Now let's see what happens now. Hold on. What kind of sound do you hear? I don't hear any sound.
I don't hear any on yours either way.
What kind of sound did you hear on yours? Because I'm not hearing any sound. These dogs aren't barking.
It was just
it's like a human.
background.
Yeah, it's a human.
Oh, a human talking to them?
Yeah, she's like making noises and stuff.
Huh. All right. Well, I'm not getting that. I don't know why. But at any rate, try this. Try coming in here and muting it.
Okay.
You see whether that works. Try muting it here. Okay. This I would think is on, and that would probably be off. Let's see.
Yeah.
Hold on. This is mute or unmute.
I don't think you're going far enough to hear the noise.
Maybe. That could be it. But listen to me again. You only have to have a little bit. You really don't need an awful lot of video here. You don't have to go crazy with this.
Right.
Okay. So, again, you have your layers up here, and there's your video in your layers panel, and you have your timeline, and I've trimmed this thing. So this is the amount of time that I'm going to do with this. So, guys, are you okay with this now?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, and you too, Raven?
Me too.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. What I need to do is I need to create a mechanism, something that I can use to create a mask on to make it possible for this one dog over here. This is my goal, is to make one dog move and one dog not move. So I have to come up with a way of doing it. There are two ways I could do it. I could do it this way. I could go File, Export, and then Export As, and I can export it as a JPEG. Give it a second. Here we go. I can export this as a JPEG. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because I got the time, and I want you to understand that, this is one way to do it. So I'm going to go Export here. I'm going to just set it as a JPEG. Let's see. No. Cancel. I think the better way to do this would be File, Save As. Let's see. Save As, and save it as a JPEG. There we go. And I'm going to call this Dogs. D-O-G-S. And I'll dash F-R-A-M-E-1. Dogs, frame 1. JPEG. Okay? Hit Save. All right. And then hit OK. So basically, what I've done is I've saved this as a JPEG. So what I can do is I can go File, Place, and I can find Dogs Frame 1 and hit Place, and Dogs Frame 1 comes in, all right, and I'm going to place it. Now watch. See how there's no motion whatsoever?
Yep.
So there's your image. It's a still image, and it's in the perfect position to do this, okay? That's one way to do it. And also, again, remember what I told you. You've got two things that you keep track of. You keep track of your layers. You keep track of your timeline. So I got video group 1, which is my video, and I have my dogs frame 1, and I have my video group 1 layer 1 and my dogs frame, right?
Got it.
Now watch what happens when I click on the play button. There's no motion whatsoever. Why? Because that still image is sitting in front of the dogs that's moving.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I am not going to do it this way. I'm going to show you another way to do it. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this guy. Let me delete this guy. Hit the garbage can and delete it. All right? And I'll show you the other way to do it. Click on this layer, layer 1. And you're going to right-click and you're going to duplicate the layer. And I'm going to call this layer 1. I'm going to call this still, S-T-I-L-L. Okay?
Okay.
Still. And I'm going to hit OK. So now I have layer 1, which is, I'm going to change the name of that to, let me change the name of that to dog live. Okay? So now that's called dog live. And I spelt it wrong. Son of a gun. I'm really good at spelling. D-O-G. Dog live. And now look down here. Audio track 1. Well, it still just says audio track 1.
Yeah.
Okay, video group. Okay. All right, so, and Margaret's here. Hello, Margaret. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Margaret.
What we're doing is both Raven and Lori had some issues, and I'm just going over the assignment again to try to clarify the issue. How are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm doing okay for now.
Okay, so are you sort of clear with what you got to do this week?
Yeah, I'm very clear at what needs to be done this week.
Okay, all right. Well, then just tolerate me a little bit because I'm trying to help these two guys.
Okay.
All right. So now I have these two videos, and they are, notice that they're side by side. You see that?
Right.
Okay. That's not good. That's not what I want at all. Okay. But there's an easy way to fix this. What's going on here? This is what's going on here. You see where those two videos are?
Uh-huh.
They're inside the folder called Video Group 1.
In that same folder.
Exactly. So the reason that they're in the same folder is because that's the way from a default state, that's the way the video gets duplicated. And when that gets duplicated like that, they end up being on the same line, the track.
Sure. Makes sense.
Right. So what you want to do is you want to take your still image first. So this is like a two-step operation. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your still, and you're going to carefully drag the still up and outside of Video Group 1. Now, right away, you see what happens? It creates another layer on the timeline.
Okay, that's why mine look different.
Right. So now you've got Video Group 1 with your dog live in it, and you've got your still up here. Your Video Group 1 here, and you've got your still here. Now, this is the same length as this video because it's based on that same video clip.
Right. Right.
So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag this over until it butts up against the starting point of the video.
Okay, just to match the
right.
Right.
Right. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to right click this thing and I'm going to rasterize the layer. Okay? Now, here's what I want you to understand. Take a look at the little icon right there.
Okay.
See what it is? It's a little clip, looks like a little movie clip.
Yeah.
Right. Do you see it there?
No.
No. And the reason that you see that is because I rasterized it. I turned it into a flat image.
Okay, so you just right-clicked it and rasterized.
Yeah, but my point is I also showed you how to save it as a JPEG and bring the JPEG in, and you accomplish almost the exact same thing.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So there's two ways to do it. I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just trying to point out that there are more than one ways that you can skin this cat.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys got it?
Yeah, I'm good. How's everybody else?
Now, the next thing that I want to do here is I want to select the video group layer, and I want to create a new layer, okay? And I'm going to drag that layer out up to here, okay? I got to get it outside the video layer. There we go. I did it. And I'm going to call this paint.
Let's see, and you duplicated that, right?
No, I created a new layer. See that right there? There's a button.
Created. Okay.
Yeah, this is a blank layer. Look at the way it looks.
Right. Okay.
It's a blank layer. It's transparent. There's nothing on it.
So you just created a new layer.
Right. It's a new layer, and the reason I made this layer is because I need to create a mask that's going to help me paint over this little dog so that I can basically animate this thing. And I want to do that on a separate layer to start off with. Okay?
Okay.
Does it make sense? Do you have a question?
I'm good.
You're sure?
Yep.
Good. All right. Notice too that this thing is not really in line. So what I'm going to do is click on it, and I'm just going to carefully drag it over. Come on, you. I'm going to drag it over, and now it's in line. And it looks like it might be a little bit longer than the others, so I'm going to just bring it in and get it, try to get it to line up. I think I got it now. There we go. So they're all the same length right now. All right, so now here's what I want to do. I want to hide this layer because that's the layer where there's no motion. See, so if I scrub this thing back and forth because I'm looking at the still layer, see the eyeball? And the still layer's the top of the stack. Now, this is a very important thing for you all to understand. The way that the Photoshop layers work is whatever's the highest thing on the layer is in front of everything else.
Right.
Right. So you have something which is still. It's only one frame and there's no motion to it sitting in front of something that moves. So you're going to not see any motion until you hide that layer.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason that I created that still layer is because in the end, what I want to have happen is I want that dog to not move and I want that dog to move. So by doing the still and by masking a certain area of this dog layer, I can make that motion happen.
Okay.
All right.
Makes sense.
All right. Now, is this sort of like what you kind of were? Were you in the ballpark with this at all, or were you kind of lost with it?
Well, at first I was completely lost just because of how it, came up on my screen. But now I understand why it did and how to fix it. So
Good. Okay. All right. So no problem. So I'm going to zoom in. Let me zoom in on this thing because I think it just makes it easier. Let me zoom in on this guy right here. That's probably a little bit too much, but that'll be okay. I think we're good right there. Okay, now I want to hide this layer. And the reason I want to hide that layer is because I need to see motion. Okay, I need to see motion. I need to see this little dog moving around. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint on this layer right here. I'm going to paint this dog out. And it doesn't really matter what color you use because this paint is just basically a mechanism that I'm going to use to cover over the dog so that I can figure out how to make it possible to animate this thing. Okay? So I've got my color set to red, that's fine. Red is good. And I'm going to come over here and get my paintbrush. And I'm going to come in here, and my paintbrush is a little bit big. So I have my fancy brackets, and I'm just going to fancy bracket down a little bit. And I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to start painting over this dog. Oh, and one more thing I should probably say to you. For some reason, I don't know what it is, and you don't have to do it this way. I tend to like to start at the end of the video and work to the beginning. Some people work from the beginning and go to the end. I tend to like to go to the end of the video in my painting process and work to the beginning. Right. Okay? So I'm just going to paint very close to this dog, very close to the dog. You don't have to get much beyond him. Matter of fact, the closer you get to the edges of the dog, the better it's going to be in the end. And it's very hard to do this without, I don't have a stylus and I don't have a, a tablet. I'm using the mouse on a board, on a mouse pad, which is very old and kind of gummy. You know what I mean? After a while, these mouse pads get really gummy. Now, here's a trick, though. Watch this. I'm going to click here. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to come over right to where the foot is, and I'm going to click. And you see how that made that straight line right over to that point there?
Cool.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to also make this a little bit smaller so I can get a little bit more in front of that paw right about there. Right. And then I'm going to start working up. All I like to do is I like to work around the outer edge of the dog first, and then I'll come back in, and I'll fill her in. And once I fill her in, then I can kind of just go from one side to the other and find the little gaps. And again, I'm going to hold the shift key down and come right to here. Click. Boom. Okay?
Oh, cool.
Yep. And I'm just going to keep painting. And you can see I'm actually very close. See how I'm very close to the shape of the little doggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going way out. I'm trying to make it very close because I don't want any more action, any more motion than I need. And I'm just going to come around and I'm going to keep painting around this little dog like this. And I'll come up to his ear and I'll paint around his ear. And then I'll come down and I'll bring it to his head here. I'm hurrying up a little bit, but you know, you take your time with it and you'll get a nice sort of a trace on him.
It's funny because the dogs are so cute and the videos were so horrible.
Yeah, they're really bad videos. They should have at least had a
Oh,
tripod.
man.
All they needed was a tripod, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, and then I enlarged it when I was watching it.
And the trouble is they want you to do this for an assignment, and the motion of it doesn't help. It just makes it a little more difficult to. Oh crap! See, now I screwed that up. I got to go back. That's another thing. You just saw me make a little mistake I wanted to fix.
Right.
You have to save this thing periodically. I'm not saving as I go along. That's a bad thing. You should always try to save things at certain points.
I'm always hitting Command S.
Yeah, so Command S right there. I'll do it now. Control S there. It's save this as video 1, and I'll save that. That's good enough. Hit OK. That was my first save, by the way. All right, now I could go in here and I could make this thing bigger now. Once I get this thing in here, I can just make this bigger, and I can just kind of whip this whole thing out. All this stuff just has to be filled in, okay? And once you get this thing filled in, keep going. Keep going until I got it all covered. And I'll probably have to reduce the size of it to get that paw right there. There you go. Okay? And I'll do Control S again and save it. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly start moving the timeline indicator around, and I'm going to see where the little ears and his little body pops out. If I keep doing it up there, you see it?
Ah.
See where it's popping out?
Yeah.
It's not popping out a lot, but it's popping out some. So what I need to do is I need to come and I need to draw that in. Okay. Wherever I see it pop out,
okay.
I need to draw that in because that's going to have to be masked. You see a little bit of ear right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of ear right there. I don't think there's anything else. Let's move it more. I'll keep moving it. You see, again, a little bit more ear is showing because he's moving his head mostly. Looks like that's pretty much what he's doing. He's moving his head.
Right. So we just want to keep moving that timeline indicator.
That's right. And painting. What I'm doing is I'm going through the scope of my little video here, and I'm looking to see where the dog peeks out from behind my mask, and I'm painting it in. Everywhere that I see the dog moving, okay, now I'm seeing it here, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a little bit there. And I see a little bit here, I'm going to add a little bit there. And I see it here, I'm going to add a little bit there. And then I'll move the timeline indicator again. And I see what's happening at the bottom?
Yeah.
See what's happening at the bottom? It's jerking around the bottom. So I'm going to come over here and hold the shift key down. Like that. And then there's a little bit of belly showing here, so I'm going to cover the belly. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to add maybe just a tiny bit here. Oop, Control Z, I made a mistake. I want to do this first. Click there. And then come over here, hold the shift key down and click there. That should do it, maybe a little bit further out. Okay, and then I'm just going to keep going and keep watching, see if I can see any more of him coming out. Okay, now you see, again, see, poking out everywhere. Whenever you see him start to poke out, you're going to add to your mask. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you're building a mask that's going to hide this dog through the course of your little animation.
Right, okay, so hide it through his entirety.
Yeah, through the entirety of the little clip that you have. Your clip is only so long, and you're just going to keep, adjusting this thing. Keep adjusting it to get that dog hidden like that. And then come over here, click, and then maybe bring it over to here. See? Just keep doing that. And there's a little tiny bit of belly sitting here. I'm really taking my time to do this well because I want you to understand. Yeah. Okay, so keep going. I'm going to just keep going. I'm about a little more than halfway through. Nothing. There we go. See him popping up? Yeah. See him coming out here? Here's his head. So I'm going to carefully run across like this. There we go. And I'm going to get this like that. And I'm going to get this like that. There we go. I think that's good. Let's keep going. We're almost to the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, so you see again, here's his ears coming up. See them?
Yep.
They keep popping out. Anywhere do you see it pop out, you deal with it, but you don't overdo it. That's the whole point. You try to do this as little as possible, but make sure that as you go through your timeline, you don't see any more of the dog showing. Okay, and that's it. I'm all the way to, oh, here. Right here's a little bit. So let's come in here and let's cover that up as well. And I think that's it. Okay?
Okay.
So that is what your mask should look like. And it's on its own little layer called the paint layer.
The paint layer. Okay.
Okay? And the only reason I call it the paint layer is because I'm painting on that layer.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to use that layer for anything other than to paint this mask, which I'm going to apply to the still image.
Okay.
Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to now come over to see my little layer thumbnail?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to hit the control key, hold the control key down, and click on the layer thumbnail.
Okay.
Now, do you see the little dancing ants occur?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that means that that's selected.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to show this layer, which is my still layer. So now I have my still layer selected, and I have it showing, and I have this selection. Okay? I'm now going to come down to here, and you see this is a layer mask?
Yes.
So add layer mask. Watch what happens. I get a layer mask. Now, the problem is the layer mask is not the right direction. It's going to do the opposite of what I want. So if I play this, let me go to the view menu and let me go fit on screen, and you'll see what I'm talking about. When I play this, watch what happens. See, everything moves, everything else moves but that little dog.
The opposite, right.
Right.
Okay.
Now, if that's what you want, that's okay. And this actually works. You could submit this, and this would be fine. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my ultimate goal is I wanted this dog to move, and I want this dog to be stationary. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this right now. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go, I don't know whether I can do it from here. I cannot. I have to go image. Where are you at here? Adjust, invert. Where are we at here? Invert. Image, adjust, or actually adjustments. Image, adjustments, invert. Now, let me stop. You have a black background. Black reveals, white conceals. So what's happening basically is the white, or actually, I'm sorry, the white reveals and the black conceals. So everything is being hidden out here, and the video's playing, and you see the motion. The white is causing this guy to be hidden. So I want to reverse it. That's all. I just want this dog to show. So I'm going to reverse it. Everything's going to go white. That little silhouette of the dog is going to go black. And then what's going to happen is you'll see the dog move. So image, adjust, invert. Okay, see what happened? Look at.
Oh, it flipped. Okay.
Yes, it reversed. Inverted.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because black and white, what's the opposite or the inverse of black and white? The opposite.
Right.
Now, watch when I play this thing. My little dog plays.
Oh, okay.
Okay? That's what I wanted to have happen. I wanted that little dog play. So that's basically how you do it.
That's pretty cool. Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Was it Raven? Raven, are you okay now, do you think?
Yeah.
Got any questions? Anybody? You're all good?
I'm good. I just.
So did this solve? This is the kind of problem that you were having. Did this solve the problem that you were having, Lori?
Yes, it did. Completely, 100%.
All right, good. All right. So here's the other thing I just want to point out to you. If you watch this thing carefully, I mean, you can see this guy's jumping all over the place. And the reason he's jumping all over the place is because the video jumps all over the place.
Right.
And there isn't a whole lot you can do about that, to be totally honest with you. I mean, you're kind of stuck with that kind of a situation here. You can see it here. It's pretty bad here. And you see it on the couch. Listen, I mean, I'm not gonna sweat over that. If you submit it to me and it's doing that, I'm not going to sweat over it. It's just not You know, it's not that big of a deal. And I already know what the problem is. It's not anything you're doing. It's the video itself. The bottom line is if you produce, what?
I said, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is if you produce the video that's doing what this is doing, then that's it. You've done it. Now, the final thing is to export this thing. So I'm going to go File, go to, where are we at here? Export, and then you're going to go Save for Web Legacy, okay? So here's what I'm doing. Oh, and by the way, before I go on with this, let me just show you a couple of things. Let me bring this up. Okay, so the first thing is that the paint layer is still there, but the paint layer is being hidden. You see the little eyeball?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't see the paint layer. Now you do. Now you do there. You see it there?
Right, okay, yeah.
So this layer is hidden, just like in any situation in Adobe Photoshop. I don't really have to throw that paint layer away. All I have to do is poke out the eyeball on it, and the layer's hidden.
Right.
Okay, so again, I leave this in there because it's certainly not going to hurt me, but because it's there, it's also going to appear over here.
Right.
But it's hidden.
But it's, yeah, because the eyeball's off.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's it. All right. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to export this for submission. File, export, and then go to Save for Web Legacy. So File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. And it comes up, and what you want to do with this is you want to make sure it's set to GIF. And I don't know what I chose here. Let me take a look. There's selective. Let's see, perceptual. Perceptual don't look much better. Let's go to adaptive. Let's see what adaptive looks like. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at this in here as compared to that. Let's try no dither.
What is dither?
What?
What is dither?
Dither is a way that it blends the colors together. It's just one of the mechanisms to do.
Okay,
There's
okay.
diffusion. Let's see what diffusion looks like. That actually looks better.
Yeah, it does.
So diffusion looks better. Let's try the others. Pattern. Pattern probably ain't going to look very good. We'll find out in a second.
Wow.
Yeah, see, what it's doing is it's interpolating.
Right.
Yeah, wow, this is crazy. I think probably the one that I just had was pretty good. It looks very close. Wow, look at how long this takes.
I know it. Wow, that's crazy.
Almost wish I didn't do it. There we go.
But you never know till you.
It actually looks really good, and it's smaller.
That kind of. I was just gonna say, is it smaller or is it just me?
No, this is actually the number smaller here. It's 2.692. That's actually pretty good. All right, so we got GIF, adaptive, pattern. This seems to be good. Now, the only thing that you might want to do here is you might want to change the looping options. Oh, and I think if you remember correctly, what I did here, this has got a width and a height on this. You can do one of two things. You can either come in here and you can change the percentage on this to, like, say 70%, or you can come in here and go to image size, and I'm going to set the image size to 400 wide. Now, since I have that little icon link there, do you see that?
Yeah. Yep.
Since that's showing, I can change this to 400, and this will automatically adjust proportionately.
Ah.
Okay? So keep this stuff in mind, and the reason I'm making this 400 wide is because the smaller it gets, the easier it's going to be to transfer it over to me.
Gotcha.
All right?
Yeah.
One other so everybody's clear so far with this? Any questions about this, anybody?
We want it to be the 62.5% there on the bottom to the right of image size.
Well, what that does is when I changed it from 625, it's showing me the percent of reduction.
I gotcha.
So really, I could have done this, but I didn't know what percent would get me 400. So I just thought it would be easier to put the width of 400 in, keeping that checked, and it goes 400 by 300, which is easier. Okay.
Yeah,
and
good.
now it's just telling me that is 62% of the original.
I gotcha. Okay.
Now, the quality, we could come in here. We can mess with the quality as well. I don't know whether I want to even mess with it. See, again, as I say, I may be opening up a can of worms with this. Let me just see. Let's see. I did it now. I clicked it, so let's see what it does. I don't think it's going to do much of anything because I didn't change it. Ugh, nightmare. Okay, well, it did make it smaller, but it actually looks pretty good. That looks really good, actually. Okay, so I can go nearest neighbor, bilinear, bicubic smoother, or bicubic. I'm just going to leave it to the default bicubic smoother. I'm going to leave that alone, all right?
So
Now, the only other thing you might want to do here, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, how did it, was that what you clicked on under quality was bicubic smoother? No.
No, I think that was the one that it was set to by default. But you can come in here and you can choose these different settings. One is nearest neighbor. That's what it's doing is it's reading the quality of the image and it's establishing a norm, and then it's basically setting everything else based on that, the quality.
Okay.
Of it. So I'm leaving it default because, again, you know, we're probably in pretty good shape. I would say the only thing that you really want to concern yourself is that you make sure that this is a GIF that you're doing here. And I used adaptive because I think it looks really good. And pattern, it turns out, oddly enough, looks pretty good, you know?
Yeah, it does,
and then I changed the size down to 400 pixels because there's no size limit in here. It's not like in the assignment it's telling you that it has to be, you know, 5 inches or whatever. So I'm just trying to make the file size smaller for you so that when you upload it, you have less trouble. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right. Now, only other thing down here you might want to do is see where it says looping options here?
Yeah.
Right now it's set to once. So maybe what you might want to do here is change it to forever.
Right.
And what that would do is,
keep looping.
yeah, it just simply makes it keep looping, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You guys good?
I'm good.
Any questions, anybody, about any of this? Because this is what you're going to do.
No, I'm good. Anybody else?
You guys all cool? I guess so.
I'm good.
All right. So then you hit done, or actually hit save. And now I'm going to call this final, Final. And I have it set in week 1, so I'm going to hit save. And I just saved it. Now I could have come over here and I could have previewed it, and I could have also previewed it over here in a browser. But what I'm going to do is this will probably go away, and what I'll probably do is I'll just open up my video. Okay, so that's gone. So let me come over here to this and bring this up, and let me create a new frame, a new page, and let me just quickly go to my desktop and find this week 1, and I'm going to take my final and drag and drop my final into that page, and there it is. See, and actually, yeah, see, you do get that little bit of leaping there. See it?
Yeah.
But this really looks pretty good, doesn't it? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it does. It does.
It does.
I like it.
Now, there's one other thing that I will show you, and that is that you can come in here and you can create a fill or adjustment layer. Okay? And I am going to go with, let's see, what do I want to do here? Let's try brightness and contrast. Okay, so now I got this layer up here, brightness and contrast. And what I want to do is I want to play around with the brightness on this. Let's see, maybe brighten it up a little bit, and let me up the contrast. See, I don't really like the way this looks that much, but that's another thing that you can do with this is you can play around with the brightness or contrast.
Okay.
You can also play around with other things as well. I mean, there's curves, there's levels, exposure. You know, there's other things you could do. Now, I just want to show you the difference between this. So if I hide that, you see how I've subtly changed the way it looks?
Yeah.
So that's something else you can do. And as a matter of fact, I think I prefer it this way to the brightness and contrast. I don't think the brightness and contrast helped it
I
very
was going to say I kind of like the way it looked originally, but.
yeah. So there you go. That's the actual assignment. That's what you're going to do. And then, of course, the final thing, I think probably the smart way to go with this is to go to your final, and I'm going to send it to compressed zip folder.
I was just going to ask, I think you said you wanted it compressed on last night's video.
Yeah, so you're going to zip it, and then, of course, you'll name it appropriately, and you'll submit it that way, okay? If you guys run into any problems with the submission on this, you let me know. I'm not exactly sure. As a matter of fact, let me have a few moments here because I do want to just check this out. Now that I think about it, might be a good idea to do this. Let me just go in here and let me see. Oh, come on, you. Let me go back up and let me go to assignments. Let's see what it tells you to submit like. I want to see what it's telling you to submit as.
And it said something about like 20 frames or something.
Yeah, well, that tells you how big it's got to be. You can actually do that if you want. You can just make it smaller than mine. I said that. Mine is a little bit bigger.
Right. Okay.
All right, so here we go. So
I do have a question though. How do you know how many frames it is?
Yeah, me too.
well, it's very tricky because let me go back in here. See, it's very tricky here because you have this timeline right there, and it doesn't really show you the frames.
No, it doesn't.
So here we go. You got to bring it out. Okay, so bring it out. Look, here you go. So if you bring it out, there is 0, there is 5, 10, 15.
Oh.
So you can see mine is a hell of a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so really, guys, if you want, stretch this out a little bit, and you can trim it down to 20 frames if you would like. Okay? And there it is. There's 0. There is your 20 frames right there. Only reason I didn't trim mine to 20 frames is because I wanted to get a little more action into it. I thought that 20 frames, these guys aren't moving a lot. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, but that's basically how you do it. You can do it right here. Now, if I bring this down, see what I mean?
Yeah.
If I bring it up, once I bring it up, you can now see the frames. There's 5 frames, 10, 15, 20. So you can size it to approximately 20 frames, find the little section that you want to isolate, and go through the process and do it. The most important thing, like I said at the very beginning, is to understand that you are coordinating this over here, which are your layers, with your timeline layers over here, or your channels, okay? And basically, you have the video group 1 down here with your video in it. You have a layer outside the video group and another layer outside the video group that started out as just a duplicate of the video layer, which I moved to the first frame, the very first frame, and then I selected it and I rasterized it. And when I rasterized it, it turned it into a bitmap. No more animation. Okay?
Yes. Thank you, Bill. That
Are we
was
good?
So much more clearer than even the lynda.com videos and all of that. So I really appreciate you demonstrating this. It makes
well, that's what we're here for. I want to make sure that you guys go and do this and you don't have any trouble. It's a lot easier than you might think it is. It really isn't that difficult.
Right.
Just got to make sure that you handle it the right way.
Exactly.
Okay, so 7:53. I got a little bit over an hour. I got a couple of other things that I'm going to do for you tonight to show you how to do some more animations with this. But let me just ask everybody, is there anything that you wanted to ask me? Anybody in here have anything you need to ask me before I move on? I mean, you could do this at any point, but I figure before I start with something else, I'll do it now. Anything at all that you wanted to bring up?
No.
Are you all good with the discussion? Do you know what to do with the discussion?
Yes, Bill, and I apologize. I had kind of a nutty day. I haven't got to the discussion, but I did get your announcement that it should post. So if it does, I haven't even looked at the discussions yet. So, but I'm sure I'll be no problem now.
Okay, everybody else good?
Yeah.
Are you all getting my emails all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So anyway, yeah, we did have a problem yesterday with the initial post, but it's been resolved. So I might mention that now, but I sent an email and you probably all got the email anyway. So that's been resolved. I have a couple of people that have already posted, so we're back on track with that. If it ran into a problem or it was going to go any longer, I was going to make some kind of an adjustment for you, but I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be okay. Just keep in mind, guy, when you do your post, make sure that you address the points properly, and make sure that you use an inline citation and referencing. Make sure you do that because, again, that's part of what you're going to get points for. And when you do reply to students, make sure that the replies, deal with some aspect of the discussion, and make sure it's at least 50 words or more. And it would be a good idea to see if you could find some way to maybe encourage the conversation continue. I always try to ask a question at the end of my replies. Whenever I reply to people, I always just stick some sort of a question on the end. What do you think of this? Or,
Yeah, keep it going.
Yeah, that's what I do. And do me a favor, if you can possibly do it, avoid last minute posting. It really bothers me. I do not deduct points for it, but I do want to tell everybody that it's not really very good posting etiquette.
No.
Bottom line is that when we do this discussion, you want to post your replies, giving the students that you are, contributing to the opportunity, or someone else even, the opportunity to reply back to you. If you post something 6 hours before the deadline, the likelihood of somebody replying to you is next to none. That makes sense, right?
I was just going to say that the later people, the later you put your initial posts in, I mean, I've been in class sometimes where people haven't posted it, until, Friday, and it's like, okay, well, I already did my 4 posts, so I can't be doing school all the time, but it gives everybody a less opportunity to discuss and to get your replies in. So
right, and I mean it's very common. It's not just. I have no idea what you guys are going to do because this is our first week and you haven't done anything yet. But what I'm saying is a very common thing in my classes. I find that it happens all the time. And something, there are times when time gets away from you. I know this. I go through it myself. Whether you realize it or not, I'm taking this course with you. I mean, I may be the instructor, but I mean, I do 2 things that you don't do. I set all this stuff up in advance. So in other words, I have to do all these assignments in advance, and then I have to come in and I have to show it to you. So I got to do twice what you do. You know what I mean? I'm only saying that because I want to give you the proper perspective on these things. I'm as much of a student in here as you are. I do everything that you guys do in a week,
And you have to answer our questions.
Well, yeah, I also have to do that. But I'm just saying it's not like I just, basically, get done and I have to go in. This is a course, this particular course. I think I taught this course once about 2 years ago. And I believe at the time it was largely different than what it is now. Okay. So I basically had to come in here and I had to go through all 4 weeks. And I had to see what all the 4 weeks entail. And I had to do as much of it as I possibly could so that I'd be ready to go next week and do what I have to do next week and the following week and the following week, So, I mean, it's like I really do everything that you guys do. Absolutely do everything. And then I have to figure out how am I going to present it to you so that you can make it happen and not turn around and say, oh, my God, that bill is a nightmare. You know what I mean?
No, you've been by far one of the most helpful instructors I've ever had since I've been in school, which is just short of a year.
Well, I think I've had you before, Lori. I think you've been in my classes before.
2 classes.
Yeah, I've had you in classes before.
Just short of 2 years, I mean. Yeah.
All right, so we're good, right? The only thing I can tell you is you do have a quiz, and you need to follow the directions on the quiz. I really can't get into the quiz too much. I mean, maybe what I'll do next week is I'll look through the quiz and I'll tell you what is going to be in the quiz. I can't tell you exactly what's going to be in the quiz, but what I can do probably, and I might do that next week or next time you have your quiz, is I may tell you what you need to be aware of. I'm not sure how much that's going to help you, though. You know what I mean? I think you have to basically read the material. And keep in mind that, I don't know, there's no time limit on that quiz. You guys have taken these quizzes before, haven't you?
Sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the bottom line, though, it's an open book test. I mean, you can literally, have another window open and you can be doing research that would answer that question. I mean, you do know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, just trying to make that clear so that you don't, feel totally lost by it. All right. So let's see. Cutting animation. All right. So here's what I'm going to do now. Yeah, I think I'll do this one first. All right. I know this is a really stupid little animation, but it's got some interesting stuff in it. And I think that's what?
It teaches us is what's important.
Yeah, well, there's some interesting stuff here. That's really why I'm doing it. First of all, I've actually cut this type in half, and I've actually cut the scissor in half.
Oh, wow.
And, so the bottom line is, all right, first of all, here's my cutting animation. And this animation is nothing more than some text, all right, some live text. I can come in here and I can change this, see? All right? And this is basically a piece of art that I came across in here. All right, I came in here to the custom shape tool, and in the custom shape, there's the scissors. And then I just basically came out here and I dragged out and created a pair of scissors, just like that. All right.
So this was kind of like last night's where you went up to shape and you chose the scissors and the text was cutting.
Yeah. Whoops.
Okay.
Let's go edit undo. All right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that, oh boy, edit step backwards. Edit step backwards. There we go. Okay. So basically, I want to start tearing these two little pieces of graphics apart. And while I can probably do it okay with layer 1 because layer 1 is basically rasterized already, I'm going to call them scissors, S-C-I-S-S-O-R-S. The animation is type. Now, you can always tell when you have live type in Adobe Photoshop because you see the little T there. That means live type. If I click on that,
I'm going to ask you that question. How do you know if it's live? Okay.
Every time you see a layer that has a T on it, now this also is going to tell you what the word is. So see right there, it says animation. So that means basically this is a type layer, and the word that is being written is animation. And whatever you create using type should look basically like this, and it should have whatever you're typing there showing you the name of the layer. Okay? Now, one of the things that's very important for you to understand that type is exactly the same as it is in Adobe Illustrator. Type is essentially a piece of vector art, meaning I can make that word animation as big or as small as I want, as often as I want, just as long as I keep it live type. Okay? Now, I am going to cut this type apart, and I'm going to cut those scissors apart, creating objects, because what I want to do is I want to rearrange those objects so I can animate them. Right now, those scissors are one piece. See, and I cannot do very much with them right now, okay? The text is one piece. I can't do much with them either. So what I want to do, this is basically set and ready for me to go. But this here, what I want to do is I want to rasterize it. So I select the layer. What rasterizing is going to do is it's going to turn that text from a piece of vector art into a bitmap. Now, remember I talked about that last night, the difference between vector art and raster art?
Mm-hmm.
Right. In Photoshop, we're dealing with raster art. In Illustrator, we're dealing with vector art. And vector art and raster art are completely different. Raster art is resolution dependent. Vector art is resolution independent. So I can't go in and I can't manipulate this type the way I want to do it until I turn it into a bitmap. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now watch when I do this what happens to that layer. So I got the layer selected. I'm going to go to the, let's go to layer, and let's go to rasterize type. See it? Layer, rasterize type. When I do that, you see what happens?
Oh.
The type is gone. It is no longer a type object. Basically what it is it's a bitmap. And I can do things like cut the bitmap. I can do things like, modify the bitmap. which is what I want to do. All right. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is turn this into something that I can chop up. That's the important point of doing this. So now I'm going to zoom in on this thing because I want to show you my next step. Let me zoom in on this. My next step is this. Let me drag this thing down because I don't need this just yet. There we go. And what I'm going to do here is, watch this. I went too far in. Let's go zoom out. There we go. Okay, that'll have to do. All right, I'm going to get my polygon lasso tool. Okay, I tend to like the polygon lasso tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click right about there. And I'm going to come around to about that point right there. Let's see if I can get that point right there. Then I'm going to come down to about here. Actually, I can probably go all the way down to here. Okay, see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come over here. I'm going to come up to here. And then I'm going to come up to here. And I'm going to carefully go in this direction right here. Okay, and then I'm going to come up and come up between this, come up here, 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 and come over here. All right, there we go. And now I have that part of the scissor selected. You see what I did?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now I'm going to go layer, new, layer via copy. I'm in the wrong layer. Sorry. Make sure you switch to the scissors layer. Now go layer, new, layer via copy. Now watch. That's what I just did. Okay? And I didn't do a really terrific job on this, so if I wanted to, I could come in here and I could clean this up just a little tiny bit. All right? I could come in here and I could just come in and clean it up just a tiny little bit. Like this. There we go. And hit delete. There we go. And if I want, I could probably clean this up a little tiny bit too.
I have a stupid question.
Okay. Probably there are no stupid questions.
Well, when you're doing this right now, are you keeping your finger on the trackpad, like clicked down?
What do you mean? When I do this, what I'm doing is I'm placing my cursor or my little arrowhead, and I click, and then I let go, and I move to another position, click, and then I let go and move to another position and click, and move to another position and click. And what I'm doing essentially is I'm placing these little markers, which tells me where I want this selection to be built. And then I can delete. See what I mean?
Right. So you're not clicking and dragging. You're just
no. Clicking and moving and clicking and moving and clicking and moving and clicking.
Okay, gotcha. Just wanted to make sure.
Right. Now let's go view, and let's fit this on screen, and let me zoom in again on this. Let's zoom in like this way this time. That's probably good. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So that's what I did. I actually created that piece of the scissors. So now what I want to do is I want to hide that. I want to come in here, and I want to create this piece of the scissors. And this is actually an easier one to do because all I have to do is come over here and click here like this, right about like that, and go all the way to the end here, and then come down like this, and then come over here, and come over here, and then make sure I'm on that second layer right here, look, that layer, okay, and hit delete, and that goes away, and then go select, deselect, and then I'm just going to come up here, and I'm going to carefully click here, and I'll move over to here, a little bit like this, and I'll start coming out a little bit, come out a little bit more, come to about here. And if I want, I come way out to the end, just about like this, and then come up over the top, come down, and come in here, and click, and then I hit delete. And now, watch this. View, fit on screen, select, deselect, and I can show my scissors.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So that's basically how I made my scissors. I actually took the one set of scissors and I just separated them into two pieces. Does everybody understand what I'm doing?
Yeah, that was really cool.
You guys, the rest of you guys, are you see what's going on here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
The reason I'm doing this is I want some flexibility. You're going to see why I'm doing this clearly in a minute. What I want to do is, in the end, I want part of that word animation to look like it's behind the scissors, and I want the other half of the word animation to appear as though it's in front of the scissors. And in order to do that, I got to cut both the scissors up, and I have to cut the word animation up. And then what I can do is I can rearrange the layers so one part of it looks like it's behind the scissors and one part of it looks like it's in front of it. And then what I can do is I can animate the elements and I can make the animation work. So is it kind of making sense?
It is. And I have another question.
Go ahead.
When you rasterize the word animation,
yeah,
does that mean now that you can zoom in on it and it will not be pixelated?
Not necessarily. Watch when I zoom in on it.
Okay. Okay.
See?
Okay.
The closer I get to it, the more pixelated it gets.
Okay. So just because something's been rasterized.
Well, wait a minute. What rasterize means is this. I've turned it into a bitmap. When the thing was it was regular text, it was a piece of vector art. It would have been rendered a lot cleaner because it was resolution independent and it was made up of anchor points and line segments.
Right, right. So this is still resolution dependent.
Now it is. When I first had it as a vector piece, it was independent.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Here we go. Okay, so let me get this thing back here. All right, so now step 2. Here's the next step. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to prepare to cut my my animation. So the best way to do this is to hold both of these layers down. I select the scissor layer, hold the shift key down and select that other layer. And I'm going to hold the shift key down and I'm going to down arrow this. Oh, first of all, I got to get the move tool right here. Okay. And I got both layer. I'm going to call this scissors 1. Scissors 1. There we go. -1. And this one will be scissors SCISSORS-2. Okay, so I'm going to select both of these guys, and I'm going to hold the shift key down, and with the move tool right there, right? I'm going to hold the shift key down. I'm going to down arrow it, and down arrow it, and down arrow it, and down arrow it.
Oh wow!
Until I get it to where I want it, which is right about there. That's fine. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to get my selection tool, the polygon lasso tool again, and I'm going to come on this edge of the blade. You see the inner edge of the blade right there?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to very carefully get on that edge of the blade, and I'm going to drag a line straight down the edge of that blade till I get right about there, and click. Then I'm going to come all the way over here and click. Okay. And then I'm going to come up to here and click. And then I'm going to come back to where I started and click. And I made a selection. And you see how that selection is right on the edge of that blade right there, guys?
Yes.
Everybody see what I'm doing? My goal here now is to hide scissors 1 and hide scissors 2, select the animation layer, and I'm going to go layer, new, layer via cut. I'm going to cut that part of the word animation and put it on its own separate layer. Okay?
Okay.
And I get this.
Okay.
See? 2 layers.
Okay.
All right? Now, what I want to do is bring my scissors back. And what I want to do with this is I want to rearrange my layers, because what I want is I want this layer to look like it's in a position to cut that word animation. So this guy right here has to move down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take scissors number 1 and I'm going to bring it all the way down until it's underneath the animation, the word animation layer. And you see how that looks?
That is so cool.
Okay, so it actually looks like the scissor is sort of getting ready to clip the thing apart.
Yeah.
All right, guys, got any question about how I did that?
No, that's really neat.
Everybody else good? All right, now I'm going to begin my animation. The first thing I think I'll do is take the scissors, and I'm going to hold the control key down. By holding the control key down, I can select layers that are not next to one another. So I'm going to select layer scissors number 2, hold down the control key and click scissors number 1, and I'm going to use the right arrow key, or the up arrow key, and I'm going to move it. I gotta get my move tool, and hold the control key and up arrow, or I'm sorry, shift key and up arrow until I bring it back up to about there. Okay. Now I have my scissor in my starting position. So what I want to do now is, I notice that in my timeline down here, I don't have my animation showing. See, my animation isn't showing?
Right.
Okay. The reason that is because I haven't created an animation yet. In order to do that, I got to double click here and create an animation. And then I can do this. And now you see what I got.
Wow.
I have an animation that has my background, my scissors, my animation, my layer, and my layer number 2. All right? Now, if I want, I can drag this thing over here, and what is it? They say 20 frames. So what I want to do is I want to come over here, and there's my 20 frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ends here. This gives me a very large one. I don't know whether I can do it this way or not. Maybe I can. Let's see here. 20 frames. Yeah, but it didn't move them over. Okay. So I'm going to take this guy and drag it over to 20 frames right there. And let me drag the other one down to 20 frames. All right. And remember, 20 frames is the assignment size, so I'm actually trying to make it to the size of the assignment. All righty. And this guy over here, like that. And this guy over here. Bring it all into 20 frames. There we have it. So we have 20 frames. And I can now bring this down a little bit because I have 20 frames. There we go. So there's your 20 frame animation right there. All right?
Cool.
10, 15, 20. It's actually a little bit more. That's all right. I'm going to leave it like this. We're good. So let's go. Let's bring this down a little bit. Now what I got to do, go view, fit on screen. There we go. Okay. So now I have to actually build my animation. So here's the thing. What I need to do is I need to decide where I want this animation to begin and where I want this animation to end. So I think what I want to do is I want to take my timeline cursor, and I want to bring my timeline cursor right to about there. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I've got a background which isn't going to do anything. The background is just going to sit there, and it's going to run the entire length of the animation. So I don't have to do a thing to the background layer. What I have to work with is my animation. I actually should rename this, make this a little bit better. Animation dash right. And then this one is going to be animation dash left. And the only reason I'm naming it that way is because I want to understand the sides of the animation, so it's easier for me to understand where I'm going with it, okay? All right, so here's what I have to do. I have to make the scissors. I'm going to start off by opening up the scissors, and I'm going to click to place a button in the position, all right? So I have position, opacity, and style. So what's going to happen is my animation is going to begin right here, and it's going to run to about, oh, I don't know, maybe let's say we run it to about here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my scissors number 2, holding the shift key down. And actually, what I should do is place my cursor right there. And let me go to scissors 1. Let's go to scissors 1. And let me just come up back to here. And let me place my position there. All right. Where are we at? Scissors 1. There we go. Now let's hit position there. There we go. And now let me move over to here and let me hit position there as well. Okay, so the reason that I did this, all right, this way is because I have placed the points where I want my animation to take place. I haven't done anything yet. I've just placed the points where I want them to be, all right? What's going to happen is in this starting position right here, the scissors are going to be right like that. In the ending position, the scissors are going to move down to cut the word animation. Everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
Now watch how I do it. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to the point where I have my two little triangles. This one is selected. I'm going to try holding the shift key down and selecting this one at the same time. So basically, you see how 2 points are selected?
Yeah.
Okay, now why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this way is because I want those two sides of the scissors to move together. And I don't want to have to duplicate my effort because it's more work. And I know that if I select both of those little anchor points, and I'm not really on the anchor point, I need to be on the anchor point. There we go. You need to sit right on the anchor point. I can now hold down the shift key and I can use my down arrow. And you see how both sides of the little scissor goes down?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it down until I just go past the word animation. Okay?
Okay.
Now I'm going to close this scissor one because I'm basically done. And what I'm going to do is this. Watch. I'm going to bring this to the beginning and I'm going to play the animation and you're going to see what this does.
Wow.
That's it. Thank you.
That's so cool.
Okay? So is that okay? Does everybody else understand what I did here?
Yes, I would have to probably do it 20 times in a row to really get it. But
You can watch the recording. Okay.
Exactly.
Now what I probably will do. All right, let's stop. What I probably will do is I probably will reduce the size of all these videos because it's probably a little bit longer than it needs to be. So I'll probably just come over here and make it a little bit smaller. Make the video just a tiny bit smaller because I don't need all that extra video. And then I'll show you how to animate the word. Get this thing all the way over here. Come on, you. There we go. And there. Okay, so now let's just come back and let's see if that's probably better. It's less time. See, that's, yeah, much better. Okay? All right, so that's how I animate the scissors. So the bottom line is you got to create two pieces for the scissors. One of the pieces of the scissor has to be below the word animation so it appears behind it. Okay? See? It appears behind it. You get the illusion that it's cutting it. Now, there's one thing left to do, and that is I got to take that word animation, the starting word here, the A-N-I-M, it has to move out, and something's out of place here. I think this one actually got to move up. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. No. What's going on here? Hold on. This one here, okay, so this one here has got to go up there. There we go. Oh, how come that thing is not, how come that, what's going on here? This, how come they're both showing in the front? I'm getting confused by this. This is weird. Wait a second. This is the, okay, so that's the problem. This is the wrong one. This has got to go up here. This one's got to go down here. Yeah. See, it's backwards again. Hold on. Why is this doing this?
Move the A-T-I-O-N to the top.
You sure that's it? Let me see. Let me try that.
And then put the A-N-I-M in.
No, actually, that's not it. I want that to be in the back. That's what I want right here.
Oh,
it's this guy here. It's this guy right here. That's the problem. This guy, and actually this guy's a problem. This guy should be back here underneath the... Why is this doing this? Hold on here. This is that. Okay, so that's in the wrong place. There you go. Now I got it. This guy here has got to be down the bottom. Okay, now we got it. That's the way it should be. So this guy should be up on the top. Well, that was confusing. There it is. That's how it should look. Okay? All right. So basically, that's the look I want. I want it to look like it's getting ready to cut this. All right, and again, this thing's back out of place. So this thing's got to move up. Yeah, okay, I think that's it. No, something's not right. Why is this doing this? Oh, no, wait a minute. All right, so this thing should be in front, and this thing should be in back. That's it. I think that's it. That's what I think I wanted. Yeah. All right. This is not right still. This guy should, wait a sec, which is this one? Yeah, so this guy should be up front. And then this one comes to the front. Why is it doing that? This is so bizarre. All right, well, I don't know. This, for some reason, this thing is just fighting me. Let me see how this is. Maybe I'm absolutely right on it. Let me see. All right, well, let's cut it and let's see what happens. Okay, so anyway, here's what we're going to do. Let's try to cut this thing. So now the thing that we need to do here is we have our scissors coming down, and right about here, what I want to do is I want to take the animation left, scroll it down, and with the timeline right about there, I'm going to click on position and set a point for position. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down until it just cuts through to about right about there. And I'm going to take and create another point for position. So I have a point for position start and a point for position end, all right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the shift key down and I'm going to move this thing over like that. And now let's see what happens if we play this. I know for some reason this thing is, well, I guess it's all right. I don't know. It just seems to be not right. The other one is working better. I don't know why. Let me just see this thing for a second. I'm still trying to figure out why this thing is whacking on me. Well, that's it. Maybe that's faster. That could be it. It could be just I maybe have it a little too slow. Let me go back in here, and let me maybe take this thing down a tiny bit. Move it down like that. Now let's try the whole thing and see what happens. It's a little slow, but there you go. That's it. That's basically the slicing of the word animation. Okay? So the reason I'm showing you this, the reason I went to the trouble of showing you this is because for our assignment, we really don't get to explore any of this, all right? The animation properties that we have. We have the positioning, we have the opacity and the style. Which one of you guys said that you had Flash? Who had Flash? Any one of you?
No, not me, not Lori.
Okay.
I've worked with Flash, but I don't have it because when I was going through this before, we used to have Flash.
What? Two people spoke. What I'm asking that for is there is somewhat of a similarity between what goes on in Flash and what goes on in here. This is not exactly the same. The way that this works is not exactly the same as Flash, but there are similarities to it in the kind of properties. This is a lot more limited. You can see there's only position, opacity, and style. There's 3 things that you can animate in here. But the nice thing about it is, in fact, that you can animate, you know? So anyway, I figured since we were in the course and we were working on an assignment which doesn't involve any of this stuff down here, I just thought it would be a really good idea to do a very quick little demonstration of how, you know, you can utilize these little effects in here and how you go about doing it by placing points within your timeline at locations where you want things to occur. Like for instance, well, actually, that's pretty good. That's probably about where it should occur. Yeah, that's probably pretty good. But see what I'm saying? There's your points. If I wanted to, you know, I could change the positioning on these points. Let's see if I can, I have to move it off the, there we go. I think I can do it now. There we go. So I can make that happen quicker. See, it actually makes it happen even quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can bring it back, make it a little bit slower. All right. Really simple once you get the hang of it. And then, of course, if you want to get rid of these points, basically what I do is select the point. And if you click on that point right there, let me put my cursor in front of it because I want to put it back. All right. You can click on that point right there and you see the point goes away. And if you want, you know, you can come in here and you can, you know, click on that point, place that point again. And then, of course, you can animate it once again by moving it like that. And then I've just basically replaced it. So really, if you know what you're doing, it's not very difficult to maneuver this thing and make this thing work. All right? You guys got any questions about this? You guys all good with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So I have one more thing that I'll show you tonight, and that is wave, the wave. Okay, so let me close these guys. No, let me close this. No, let me close these guys. No, let me close this. No. All right, so the wave. So what's going on with this wave? This wave actually is a series of, I think there's probably like this. Oh, by the way, this came from the Adobe. I found this particular exercise on the Adobe site. So that's where I got this, and I thought it was a very cool exercise, and I thought this would be something that you'd probably enjoy watching. So anyway, I just wanted to show you how this is done. Basically what this is, right now, this is a video, an MP4 that I created. But originally, this is a series of like 30 frames, and they're frame by frame by frame, taken by a camera set on a tripod, and it was basically one shot after another, after another, after another. And what it does literally is it just shows the waves coming up and crashing against the rocks. Not really crashing, but you know what I mean, coming up and lapping up against the rocks. Now, all of this water moves, all right? But what I did was, because of the exercise that we're working on, I tried to show you how you could make part of the waves move and have the rest of the waves not move. And if you look carefully out here, I've added an area out here where some of the waves are moving as well. And then to make things even cooler, I added a sky that kind of darkens up. Okay? So I just thought I'd show you how I did this, the steps that go into making this happen. And I have like about 30 minutes to do that, so I could probably do at least most of this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start off by going File, Open, or actually, File, Open. And let me go to my, I think it's in here, Make Animated GIF, Lake Tahoe. Okay, so here we go. So here's Lake Tahoe. As you can see, I got one, two, I got a whole bunch of these. Look at them. I got a whole bunch of them. It's absolutely nuts. So really, I'm only going to do like 20. So I'm going to go 1, 2, holding the Shift key down, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and hit Open. There. And give it a second. See, it's actually loading in. Can you see all the...
Yeah, I actually saw this a long time ago. Somehow I ran across it on Adobe and thought it was
For some reason, this thing is not great frame animation. But I only got one. Control Z. Let me actually try this again. Oh, you know what? Open them up as separate files. All right, so here's what I got to do. I remember. I did this wrong, actually. Let me close all these things out. This is not right. What I need to do is I forgot one of the steps, actually, because I haven't done this in a while. Let me go back out. Let me get all of these things gone. Let's try it again. All right, so here's the first one, I believe. There's my wave. Yeah, and here's my first one. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go into the File menu, and I want to go to Automate, and I want to go, where are we at here? File, Image, is that it? Nope, cancel, hold on. File, Scripts, there we go. Scripts, and I want to go Load File in the stacks. Okay, all right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse to find my files, all right, just like I did. All right, let me cancel this so I can just do this again. So I opened up my original file with my first image. There's my first image right there. That opens the file up. Go to the File menu and go down the Scripts and go Load Files into the stack. And what they're talking about when they say stack, obviously, is the layer stack, all right? So I'm going to go to Browse, and I'm going to come over here. I got the first one in here. See what it says? IMG 8998. IMG 8998. So I'm going to go to 99. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm just going to do 15. Hit OK. There they go. Add open files. Document must be saved. All right, so let me hit there we go. Here they come in. See, and it's still coming in. You can see them coming in. And there we have them. They're all in there. See them? Okay, so you got that much? Or did I confuse you?
No, I got it.
All right.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a frame animation. All right. Now let's see what happens when we play this guy. Let's go like this, and let's see if we play this thing. What happens? Right now, what happens is nothing because they're in line. But let me do this. Let's try it now. Why is this thing? Well, that didn't work. Bizarre. You know what? I think actually, okay, so let's see here. Create frame animation. Create video timeline. That's what I think it is. Create video timeline. Try that. Nope. It's got to be create frame animation. Yeah, seeing it doesn't do it. I'll be darned. You know what? Edit. Step backwards. Let's try this. I wonder if I need to do this. Let me try this. It's been a while since I did this one. Let's try it now. Be damned. It's not doing it, and I can't play it. Be darned. Yep, it's not it. Yeah. See, what this thing should be doing is this, but it's not automatically doing this for me. I have to drag this thing out. Let me see, maybe this will be all right. Hold on. Let me have a second. Let me just try this and see whether this is even going to work here. Yeah, see, it's not, this is not right. File, revert. All right. And so, you know what? I actually probably, all right, let's try it one more time. Let's go File, Scripts, load files into stack. Let's go to Browse. Let's click on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hit OK. And open, add open files. OK. So we got 10 now. Create video timeline. Why is this not? Yep. That's doing the same thing. Create frame animation. It's got to be create frame animation. The problem is, there we go. And then it does that. So this is not working. I'm not able to do this. So let me do this. I've actually, I'll straighten this out and show you next week this part. But let me do this. Let me show you the other part of this. File, open, open. Let me show you the other part of this. So let me find my MP4. Because I actually did this and I got an MP4. Let's see if I can find it. Wave, is that it? Properties. GIF file, cancel. That's not it. Hold on. Let me see if I can locate the MP4. Give me a second. This is annoying because I actually didn't anticipate having this problem. Let me find that. This is the MP4, I think. There it is. Okay. So let me go into Waves and let's go to File, Open. And go to desktop, and it's in here, I think. Nope. Desktop, water. MP4, open. There we go. Okay, so now I have this. Here's the video. This is what it should be doing. Okay? This is what it should be doing. It just continues to play this little video. All right, guys? And I actually built this thing. I built this thing from from those frames that I showed you. For some reason, I wasn't getting it to work right now. So anyway, just to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to trim this thing. Let me trim it to about 20 points right about here. Right about there is pretty good. Let me see how that looks. Yeah, that'll be all right. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to do the same thing. I want to make this thing into a view. Fit on screen. So what I want to do with this is I want to do the same thing I did with the other, which is to make this thing have some area of the screen work and have some of it stay stationary. So once again, I'm going to create a mask. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a layer, and on that layer, I'm going to start painting. So let me get my paintbrush, and I'll be on this layer here. Oh, it's in the video group. I got to move it out of the video group. There it is. So it's outside the video group. And I still can't paint on it. What's the matter with it now? My God. Oh, I know why. Because I don't have this in place. There we go. So let me move this over here. And let me move the end down. There we go. Bring this down. Like that. There we go. Now I got it. All right. So let's open this up a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Now I can come in here and I can paint on this. There we go. So what I want to do now is I just want to paint like this. Just going to paint. All right? And I don't have to be totally tight with this. I'm just going to paint this area here. All right? Come in here and paint this area right in here. This is exactly the same thing I did before. I'll paint this area like this, paint this area like this, maybe even a little higher like that, okay? And then I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to paint like this, and paint like that, and paint like that. And then after I get that basically painted in like that, I'm just going to make this bigger, make this thing a little bit bigger, and I want to fill all this in. All right? I'm going to fill all this in because my goal is to do the same sort of thing that I did before with that dog, is to actually make a part of this move and a part of it not move. Okay, so I'm not doing this too fast. You guys know the process because you saw me do this before, correct? You good with this?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just going to keep painting in here. I can clean this up. I can clean this up in a minute. I'm just going to paint this thing roughly in. I'm trying to, you know, give it a little bit of shape too. I don't want it to be too regular. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to blur it in a minute. I'm going to actually put an effects on it to blur it a little bit in a minute. So let me get this thing painted in like that. There, that's probably pretty good, right? Like that. And then over here, let me make this smaller. Come in here and let me get that done in there. There we go. Okay, so that should do it. A little bit more over here. Now, other thing that I wanted to do here was I wanted to also have some of the water moving out here. So again, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to grab this. I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to paint an area, set up a shape out here for this area out here. Okay? And then I'm just going to paint that in as well. I'm just going to paint that in as well. And because I have a selection there, you see how I can paint loosely, but it's only going to go in the selection area? All right. So now I have select deselect. So now I have my areas of the water where I want my waves to be. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I want to soften this a little bit. So remember, I'm on this layer. I'm going to go to the select menu, and I'm going to go. Oh, hell, I'm going to go image. Wait a minute. Filter. That's what it is. Filter, blur, and I want to go down the Gaussian blur. See, and what I'm doing essentially, see how I'm softening the edges on this? Let me bring it out a little bit. See how I've softened the edges on this here? I'm trying to soften the edges on this so that it's not, the edges are not harsh. That's probably too much. Let me come back in. I guess it's going to have to be somewhere in this neighborhood right there. Probably right about like that. Hit OK. Okay, so what I did, and this might be, there might be a problem up in here, so I might have to come in here and I might have to actually pump this up a little bit in here because that might be a little too soft up there. But what I did was I softened this a little bit. All right. Now, remember, I have a video here, and this video is going to play. So I need a still. So once again, I'm going to select that layer, drag it to duplicate it, duplicate the layer. And with it selected, I'm going to go Layer, Rasterize, Video. Actually, let's just go Layer, Rasterize. Rasterize Video. There we go. And now I'm going to drag this up here, outside. Remember, I need to drag it outside there. This should now be a still. And it's, oh, there it is. You know why? I did move it into position. Here we go. Drag it in. I move it into position. There we go. Come on. There we go. All right. So now that should not move. There. It's not quite in the position yet. So let me get this thing up here so I can get it in the position properly. This thing should be right at the beginning. That should be at the beginning, and that should be at the beginning. We should be good. There we go. There we go. Okay. So it's not moving. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to create a layer mask for this. Right? So are you okay with what I've done so far, or have I made this too quick?
No, I'm following.
You're following okay?
Yeah.
So once again, just so that you know, all I have here is I have a layer which is basically just a, I'll write it in here. So this is a still. And then, of course, this is my video. video. And then this is going to be for my mask. All right, so there's your 3 elements. So all I'm going to do is come up here, click, control click to make my selection. Then I'm going to hide that layer, and I'm going to click on the still layer, come down to my mask, and apply my mask. And I have my mask. Now let's see what happens when we play. See what's happening is it's backwards. See how it's backwards? I wanted this stuff in here to move. It's backwards. Do you guys see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, just like with the dogs at first.
Right. So what I'm just going to do with this is I'm going to select this thing and go, let's go, image, adjust, invert. There we go. And now let's try it and let's see what we get. See, that's what I wanted. I want the water out here to be running, and I wanted the water here to be running, and I wanted this water to not be running. Okay? So again, very simple. All you have to do is have your MP4. It's got to be an MP4. The reason it has to be an MP4 is because you need a video clip that you can mask, which is what I did. And what you do is you duplicate it, you turn it into a single frame, and then you apply your masking to it. Now, the other thing that I did here, and I don't have enough time to do it, it's like I got like about 8 minutes. But what I did was I actually came up here and I created another mask for the sky area. And then I created a layer that had a gradient on it. And I'll go back to this one to show you what I'm talking about. I have a layer with a gradient on it. See it right here? There's my gradient layer. See it? And what I did was I masked the area, leaving that top area showing. So what happens is as you play the video, this area darkens at the top. I actually got it hidden. Let me show it to you. Let me bring it out. Hold on. I actually hid that layer. Bring the layer up. Now let's see. Here's what happens with it. See, this darkens. There you go. All right. Now, again, this doesn't have an awful lot to do with what you're working on for this assignment. I just thought since we had a second night and I had some extra time, I'd show you some of this stuff. That's it, guys. I'm pretty much done for the night. Do you guys have any final thoughts or any questions or anything that you want to talk about before we call it a night?
I'm good. I'm just going to, rewatch it and follow along, and just appreciate the clarity that you show, Bill.
Me too.
Just do me a favor. Focus on the beginning of tonight's lesson, because the bottom line is all I'm really looking for you to do is to produce a video for the assignment. That's the most important thing. All this other stuff was just, I had the time to do it. I had a night here. We had really gone over the assignment. We already discussed the discussion. I just thought, what am I going to do tonight? Instead of just sitting here and talking to you for nothing, I thought I'd play around with a couple of other videos, a couple of other animations, only so that I could show you some of the other things that you could do. Again, the video that we're working on for the assignment has nothing to do with any of this stuff. So I figured that if I didn't come up with something that I could show you a little bit about that, then you might not know about it. And that I didn't want. So.
Well, and it's really cool to know that, the different things that you can do, and the contrast and the gradient and all that. I mean, It's not just, here you can do this dog video and boom, that's it. It's so vast, and I haven't worked in Photoshop in a very, very long time. So it'll be really good for me to get back into it. But your instruction is very clear, and you answer questions and explain what you're doing. And that's how I learn. And that's why I like the live sessions. Very, very
well,
helpful.
I did have a couple of weird things happen tonight, unexpected things. That video the frames wouldn't come in right. I'm not exactly sure what I was doing wrong. I'll have to look at that again.
And sometimes that happens to me, regardless of what program I'm working in. And sometimes I just have to save it and then shut it down and then reopen it, and sometimes I don't know, it like resets it or something, but it can
Yeah.
get frustrating.
No, there was a step I was missing. There was something, and again, I haven't done this in a while. But the important thing, really, we aren't really doing that. What we're working on more is we're working on these, these MP4 files, and we're making the animation for the MP4 files.
Right.
That's, basically what's going on right here, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you. Is how that you could do the same thing with this, where you have like water flowing out here, and then this looks calm, and then this looks like it's wavy, and this is not moving in the front. It's just a very weird kind of a situation that if you hide all that stuff, you end up with something that looks more like this, which there's nothing wrong with this, but again, it's here, watch, when you play this, see, everything's moving.
Exactly, right.
Whereas with this is kind of interesting because, then the question is, why is it doing what it's doing? And that's probably, because we're creating this kind of effect.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So it's the same basic premise as what's going on with the dog. Part of the dogs, there's two dogs. One of the dogs is sitting, the other dog is moving. So in this particular case, we're applying the same basic principle, which is to mask an area. And I think the most important thing to take away from the assignment and from the lesson is this idea of masking, because this is week 1. We're going to be masking week 2, week 3, and week 4 in different ways. So hopefully by the time we get done here, you'll be very comfortable with the idea of masking and how to manipulate masks and how to modify masks and make masks do what you want them to do.
Right.
Very important thing when you're working in Photoshop. So that's where we're heading. Okay?
Well, thank you very much. And thanks, everybody, and have a good night.
All right. Guys, have any problems or any questions, either an email or a phone call will do. And I'll do what I can to help you. Tomorrow, I am not in Blackboard, but I will be in Blackboard Wednesday from, I believe it's 9 to 12 Mountain Time.
You mean Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Okay?
Good.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for coming. It was great having you here. I hope to see you guys again next week.
Will do. Everybody, good luck. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.